Song of Flame is the brand new super that came out in the final shape for the Warlock, and although a lot of people are using this as a support super, some people have pointed out that this is an absolutely fantastic damage super if you use it correctly. So this build is going to be building around that damage super while also still allowing you to support your team. But seriously, do not sleep on the damage of Song of Flame. Like every Prismatic Warlock, we are running Phoenix Dive because it's by far the best class ability. Who needs a Rift when you can just immediately heal yourself and proc whatever abilities you're proccing with this? We're running Arcane Needle for our melee. We are running Vortex Grenade for our grenade. And then our aspects are going to be Feed the Void because Devour is so good, and Hellion. Hellion's actually not super important here. I'm using it to add to my Scorch damage, but legitimately, I think Weaver's Call would do fine here. I think Bleak Watcher would do fine. I think Lightning Surge could even do fine. So this last aspect slot is kind of open to whatever you want to run. Important fragments are going to be Facet of Courage so that we can deal bonus damage with our light abilities to darkness debuffed enemies. We're getting darkness debuffs all the time by just throwing an Arcane Needle on a guy and unraveling him. And this is going to buff our Vortex Grenade. It would buff our Hellion damage, but most importantly, it buffs our Song of Flames damage if we literally just hit them with a melee before we go into Song of Flame. So definitely very good there. The Facet of Dominance is also going to be very useful because that's making our Vortex Grenade weaken. So Dominance is very good. We run Purpose for restoration. We run Hope so that we can regen our Phoenix Dive faster. And then we run Facet of Dawn in order to become Radiant off of hitting enemies with a melee. A lot of people are going to question me not using Facet of Ruin with this build once you see how the build is actually running. But this doesn't increase the damage of ignitions. It increases the damage of stasis stuff and just the area of effect on ignitions. And I really don't think that that's super useful in the grand scheme of just trying to deal damage. And I feel like you're better off using a Facet of Hope here because that's probably what you'd replace with Ruin. If you really want to do that, if you want bigger ignitions, then go ahead, go get this. But I just don't think it's super necessary when it's not buffing the damage. I'm an exotic class item here, and I actually don't have the best possible role in my inventory for this. So the best possible role, what you would be looking for is the Spirit of Osmiomancy, which regens your grenades, and then the Spirit of Star Eater. Combining those two is going to be super broken, but I would say if you're going to prioritize one of those, it should be the Star Eater one because the Star Eater aspect is going to buff your super by 70%, which is a huge damage buff, whereas having the Osmiomancy grenade part just gives it so you have a better neutral game, because Osmiomancy paired with a Vortex Grenade is going to basically immediately recharge the Vortex Grenade. You're going to throw it and then it's going to hit an enemy a bunch of times and it immediately regens since you're using Osmiomancy. I don't have that. I'm running Apotheosis, but that is also pretty good. You're throwing the grenade before the super. You can throw another after the super and have a decent amount of weaken up time, at least in a DPS phase. But Osmiomancy is going to allow you to keep up weaken in just general combat rather than just when you super. So definitely look for an Osmiomancy with Star Eater role if you can. Weapon wise, we are running some new weapons because people love new weapons. Firstly, we have the Call. Lead from Gold 1 for All is the role that I am going for here. A lot of people have differing opinions on what to run in that last column. I think 1 for All is very easy to proc on the Call because it has that AoE damage, because it just one-shots things and you can just very quickly shoot at another guy. I think 1 for All is pretty easy to keep up, so that's why I'm running it there. I think you could run any of those damage perks. Whichever perk you want to run in that last column is probably going to be fine. Second weapon, we're running the new Healing Assault Rifle because although we're going for that damage, we do want to support our team, and no hesitation is going to be a great way of doing that. We are running the 2 healing perks so that we get Restoration ×2 with Enhanced Physic, and then we get the Circle of Life, giving that damage buff whenever we do proc Enhanced Physic on someone. This is just going to be a great weapon. It does a lot of damage by itself, Plus, it has just insane healing potential, so definitely check out No Hesitation. And then finally, we are running Dragon's Breath in our heavy slot, because Dragon's Breath pairs super well with Song of Flame for DPS. This high octane trait is going to make it so igniting enemies is going to refill its reserves whenever you get that maximum fuel. So you can just spam ignite people with Song of Flame, which is already what you're doing. You're using your grenade, you're using your melee, you're igniting all the time. And then it reloads Dragon's Breath, and then you can shoot more shots of that. You can shoot out a lot of shots of Dragon's Breath during one Song of Flame, and it should add to your personal damage by a lot. So definitely use Dragon's Breath. You probably want the Catalyst as much as possible here, but use Dragon's Breath and just ignite, guys. Ignite the world. I'm not going to focus on my mods too much because they're quite simple. I'm running Strand Siphon since I kill a lot of enemies with the call very often. I'm running Heavy Ammo Finder because obviously Heavy Ammo Finder is great. In my other column here, we're going to be running Firepower, Momentum Transfer, and Fastball. You can trade out Firepower for Heavy-Handed if you think you're killing with your melee more than your grenade. I think Firepower is probably better because Devour is going to regen your grenade quite fast, so having Orb Gen off of that is super good. On my chest plate, I'm literally just running Solar Reserves with 1 resist. It is very simple. On my legs, I'm running Solar Surge with Recuperation. Very simple. And then on my bond, I'm running a classic in literally every single one of my builds. I'm running Reaper, I'm running Bomber, I'm running Powerful Attraction. The main thing that we're running mod-wise is just genning orbs and helping with our solar damage or ammo, because we want our Dragon's Breath to be as much ammo as possible, and we want that orb gen up because we want to stack up our Star Eaters as easily as possible. So that's the main things you're looking for in your rolls. Now to show some gameplay of this, I was able to deal 2.7 million damage in one damage phase of the Grasp of Avarice Ogre using this build. This build works very well on a lot of the bosses that are a little bit mid to like close range on you. It works pretty well on Percy's as well at the end of Spire the Watcher. It works great on the Ogre that is in the Warlord's Ruin dungeon. I think this build would work fantastically on Herald of Finality in Salvation's Edge, but it wouldn't work super great on something like a Witness, something like Oryx, because you need to be in range of hitting that melee, because that Incinerator Snap melee whenever you are in your super is going to add to your ignition a lot, and it is going to be an insane amount of damage with the projectiles that you're throwing out on that. I think that there is more than enough encounters in the game though where this is going to be a great build where you can stand kind of far away, you can kind of stun lock the boss with the ignitions that you're throwing on them, and you can be very ammo friendly because Dragon's Breath is very total damage based, and you're probably going to get like 4 shots off maybe during most damage phases, meaning that you're able to have a lot more for the next phase if you need one, assuming that you're doing something like a solo run or just a run with really bad teammates that aren't using a build as good as this one. But legitimately, this is going to be something that should be very good in most areas of the game. You just need to make sure on those long range bosses that maybe you try and run something else, because Song of Flame isn't going to be dealing as much damage to something like the Witness as it would to any of the more close range bosses. That's basically it. That's all I wanted to talk about for this video. Let me know down below what you guys think about this build. I fixed my discipline. Everyone who's commenting about it, I only have 105 this time. Shut up about it in the comments. That's it for the video, though. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Peace.